With the draft being today, this is what I think is going to happen in the 2025 NBA draft. The first thing that's going to happen is Cooper Flagg is going number one. That's 100% guarantee. The Mavs already said it's going to happen. And I think it's a great pick for them. I think it's the right move for them, especially after what they went through this whole last season. Kyrie comes back in mid-February. Anthony Davis hopefully stays healthy. They just extended Daniel Gafford, and they still have a great team to look forward to. They can run a lineup of Kyrie, Klay Thompson, Cooper Flagg. Anthony Davis plays your four like you want him to, or like he wants to, and you have Daniel Gafford or Derek Lively playing that center spot, whichever one you want. But this move for the Mavericks is you get your Luka back. But I mean, will he be as great as Luka? I personally don't think so. But he's going to be an all-star, and he's going to be a great piece for them, and especially if that injury-prone team goes down, because they will at some point. Kyrie is not back until February. Anthony Davis most likely will get hurt, and hopefully he does not. I don't want to see anybody get hurt because he's such a generational talent. But you have to expect these things. And then once that happens, Cooper Flagg will take the reins of the offense and completely dominate the NBA. The second thing that is going to happen is the Spurs are going to be desperately trying to move the number 2 pick to the Bucks or the Celtics for their superstars in Jaylen Brown or Giannis. The Spurs don't want to pick in the top 5 again. They already got their Wemby. They got Stephon Castle, 2 Rookie of the Years who have shown that this is a great future ahead of you. And then they also have De'Aaron Fox. So the guy who's supposed to go number 2 should not go number 2 because they already have 2 guards at that position. So they don't want to make a selection here. They want to get Giannis, or they want to get another superstar, which I assume would be Jaylen Brown since the Celtics are making moves. What I think is going to happen is the Spurs are going to get desperate and they're going to give up way too much. So the Spurs should not give up the number 2 pick and Stephon Castle. You give up one of them. But with a generational talent under contract for a long time, the Spurs are just going to say, yes. And then they'll give up the number 2 pick. They'll give up Castle. They'll give up Vassell. They'll give up Harrison Barnes. Maybe even get fleeced into giving the number 14 pick for Giannis. But if it does happen, then I think the Spurs might screw themselves. Because you want that. Wemby is your timeline. Like whenever Wemby is on your team, that's your timeline. Whether he's young, whether he's old, you adjust to Wemby. The same thing with like LeBron. Like he went to LA and LA immediately shifted to LeBron's timeline where he's still one of the best players in the world. But you can only get so far with one. I mean, they're going to have 2 at this point. But you need that third piece in Stephon Castle. He's a calm, great player to pair aside Giannis and Wemby, and he can take over that offense when he needs to. He needs to not be in the deal. He needs to not be in the deal for the Spurs to win that trade. But I think the Spurs get way too desperate. They're like, we have to make this trade. It boosts us into title contention, and we see Giannis as a Spur come today. The third thing that's going to happen is the 76ers are going to trade down from number 3 and either get a star or more first-round picks this year. The 76ers are confused. They don't know whether they stick with the trio of Embiid, Maxey, and Paul George. They don't know whether they go younger because they have Jared McCain, and Tyrese Maxey is still, I think, in his early 20s. So they don't know what to do. What they do know is that Ace Bailey does not want to come to Philadelphia, which I think they're dodging a bullet on. I don't think he's worth the number 3 pick. I think he's going to be a great role player in the NBA, but not number 3 pick. I know the Paul George comparisons and what, if the right team gets him, maybe he becomes a star, but I don't see it happening. So I think they trade down. Brooklyn has many first-round picks this year, including, I think, 2 in the lottery. They have 8, 19, and then 26, 27. So I think they'll be more than willing to spare a couple. And then Philadelphia will get a guy like Kamen Malawa or hopefully Concanopoulos Falls, which I don't think will happen. I think he's going 3, especially with all this Ace Bailey drama. Or maybe VJ Edgecombe falls. Trey Johnson is there. There are so many pieces for Philadelphia at 8 that it would make it makes a lot of sense for them to go and get down in the draft board, pay somebody less because you're paying them with the 8 slot instead of the 3 slot, and then you work from there. Maybe you trade Joel Embiid in the offseason, which I think is going to happen, but for sure, I think the 76ers trade down from number 3 and try to do something that reignites that Philadelphia fan base. The fourth thing that's going to happen is the Celtics trade Kristaps for a mid-tier lottery pick. And I think it makes a lot of sense for them to do this. I already talked about the Brooklyn Nets, and they are the only team this offseason that has cap space. So you could trade Kristaps for the number 8 pick. Then Brooklyn runs a rotation with Cam Thomas, hopefully healthy, and Kristaps as kind of your building blocks into something. Or something that I also like is the Hawks have the 13th pick and right now are in no man's land. They don't know whether they should keep on building with Trae Young because they don't know if he's a number 1 yet, which I think he's the perfect number 2 to any superstar. Like, I thought he should have gone to San Antonio and paired with Wemby, which would have been amazing to see, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So I think you pair him with another lanky stretch big that can be a great complement to Trae Young. The Celtics will trade Kristaps for the number 13 pick, and I assume the contracts have to somewhat match up because the Hawks don't have any cap space. So I think a Clint Capella would be a good thing there. Maybe they fleece the Hawks like they did the Trailblazers with the Drew Holiday for Anthony Simons in 2 seconds trade, which is another video at that. And they can get Jalen Johnson from the Hawks, which would be a great pairing in Boston. But I think Kristaps gets moved during the draft. They don't want to pay the tax. They're 20 mil over the second apron, which they saved a lot of money from that Drew Holiday trade. So I don't know exactly the calculations on that now. But Kristaps is going to get moved at the draft. If he doesn't, then I don't think he can get moved at all. The last thing that I think is going to happen is OKC becomes the winner of the draft just 4 days after winning a title. We forget that because how great this team is, that they also fleeced the Clippers for like 5 first-round picks. And 2 of them are coming up in this draft. They have the 15th pick and the 24th pick. Both are coming from LA. Sam Presti is a genius when it comes to drafting players. Taking what feels like a risk at the time, but then getting everything out of the player and more. We saw this with Jalen Williams back in 2021 when they drafted him with the 12th pick that everybody thought was a reach. But you see now he's an all-NBA third team and all-defensive second team selection. This might be the same thing. Because this draft is not... I'm not going to say it's stacked, but it's pretty loaded. It's not bad. And we could see them make another reach of a pick that turns out to make all rookie first team or rookie of the year. Maybe, who knows? Or, hear me out, Ace Bailey falls to 15. And if that happens, then everybody should just retire and OKC will win the next 4 to 5 championships. Now, I know I just said Ace Bailey is not going to be a star. But if anybody can make him a star, if any team can make him a star, it's OKC. They do so well with young talent that he will thrive. And especially with how Ace Bailey is looking in these draft boards and in these interviews, why don't you take a risk with him at 15? It's not even a risk. We saw this with Michael Porter. Michael Porter was dealing with that injury in college, and he fell all the way to 15 to the Nuggets. And we were like, why would anybody let this guy fall to 15 to the Nuggets? Ended up winning a championship with them, is a great piece for them right now. And we could see the same thing. Remember, Michael Porter was projected number 1 coming out of high school. He gets hurt, then they're like, okay, we don't know what's going on, then falls. Ace Bailey is projected number 3. He doesn't know what team he wants to go to. Creating like uncertainty. We don't know what's going on in his draft interviews. It could be the same thing with like a Shedeur Sanders kind of thing, where he drops tremendously, but the team that does pick him up is getting a great value for their pick. This is a very likely situation. And if it does happen, then I feel sorry for the entire league after this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. All that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.